Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to talk about how to get your tattoo apprenticeship. Personally, it was my dream job in high school and I thought I really wanted to do it, and I was really good at drawing and art, and everybody said that I should and that they would definitely get a tattoo for me and everything. So I thought it was a really good career choice for me, and I had a lot of support for it, so I went. And did not recognize all the red flags you go through. Things that you need to watch out for or prepare yourself for, or the right way to get into tattooing. I didn't know anything about that, because if you go and research it online or if you YouTube it, then you're just going to end up on crappy basement tattoo stuff, and it's just not what you should be looking at, or not the right way to go about it. That would actually hurt your chances more of getting into a shop if you do something like that. So this is the right way to get an apprenticeship. So let's get started. I don't know which campaign I want to do, because I'm not playing with my husband tonight. He's asleep. He's got to go to work in the morning and stuff. So I never play by myself, and I suck at this. So we're going to see what happens. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you are wanting to get into the tattoo industry is find an artist that you really like their style, or that it applies to you or matches you in a way that you're going to be able to easily transition into what they're doing, because they're going to teach you how to redraw. Pick out artists that have really clean designs, really good tattoos, that are looking for apprentices. And that's, not even just a shop owner. That can be tattoo artists at the shop can pick up an apprentice. As long as you have a license, you can have an apprentice. You need to do your research, see how long they've been tattooing, see what their pricing is, ask if you can go up and meet them, check their Instagram. A lot of tattoo artists have Instagram. You need to have a portfolio of probably your 10 best pieces that you have. If they're too big, you need to take pictures of them. They need to be nice, quality, clear photos. They need to go in a nice booklet. That's like a 11 by 8 size, something you get at like Michael's or Joann's or whatever. And you need that to be your best that you've got. Interview with a tattoo artist. He was a shop owner and he worked in a really busy area. He said it would be at least 10 grand to get my foot in the door for wanting to be his apprentice. And he said it could last 2 years, 3 years, however long he wanted it to last, because there is no contract on how long they can have you as an apprentice before you get your license. I obviously didn't have 10 grand, so I went around price hunting, trying to find the cheapest artist to get my license from, because I figured my drawings were exceptionally well, so I could just have them kind of carry me through, and I just need to learn the basics of tattooing and I would be okay. Which is not how that works at all. It's completely different than drawing. It's nice to have a good artistic background in it, but it's all really technical application and procedures and health, safety, bloodborne pathogen, all the technical terms and stuff, and taking care of equipment and your machines and all that stuff. It's a very technical job. It's not just about the art. I ended up price hopping, jumping around looking for the cheapest person to take me in and teach me what I need to know so I could get my license, so I could be super successful, because I already looked stuff up and I already knew what I was doing, because I was already a good artist. So this was going to be an easy transition for me, and I was going to be just fine getting my foot in the door with my awesome art and being super successful. I found this shop owner out in the boonies. Oh, there's a plane. Okay, so this guy quoted me like 5 grand to start my apprenticeship. And I was like, well, that's all I've got. I've got to get supplies and stuff too. after I start getting into tattooing this and that. So I was like, okay. He cut me a deal for like $3,500, and I was like, that's great. That's I don't care how long it's gonna take. That's way less than what I've been quoted, between 10 grand, 8 grand, whatever it is, for years and years of not getting paid. Because that's the thing, you don't get paid. You are their janitor. You do what they tell you to do. You come in when they tell you to. You adhere to their schedule. It is not up to you at all. Tattoo artists are pretty lax on like holidays and stuff. They're not going to be working, you know, like they're not going to have you work major holidays. You're going to have a lot of freedom once you get your license in certain aspects, but until then, you're going to have to do whatever they tell you to do. I did a lot of cleaning. I mopped every day, drew all of my tattoo artists, my mentors' pictures and stuff like that. Did some setups. Honestly, he didn't really tattoo enough for me to get that consistent experience of how to do like a good setup for equipment and things like that. Ugh, freaking spitters. I hate those fucking things. Cities and states have different regulations that you have to abide by, so there were certain health standards that didn't apply in the town I was learning in as to a major city. Countryside setting, they don't give a shit. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't get a contract. I didn't get any kind of legal agreement. I got registered through the license board of the state, and that was all I got. So another thing you need to consider when you're getting an apprenticeship is how to protect yourself, because you are handing somebody that you do not know an ungodly amount of money, and to be just secluded around them all day. So compared to an internship or going to college somewhere else through like a major company or something, you're going to have that protection because they have to go by certain protocols and stuff like that, and you legitimately have witnesses and protection in numbers. But when you get an apprenticeship and it's just one or two people and they work for your mentor, they're not necessarily going to be a witness to you when that's their money and that's their only source of income, especially depending how well that shop is ran. I always, well, if I could do it over again, I would suggest a more urban setting, a city setting, somewhere that they should be getting walk-ins and plenty of business, even though that those expenses like their rent and all that are going to be a lot more. They have to bring in that traffic if they're even going to make it as a shop, because shops close down constantly. The average shop, oh shit, average shop lasts like 6 months to a year or something like that. It goes down really fast because anybody who gets a license, their first thought is to usually open their own shop at some point, which is another thing that you shouldn't put your eggs all in one basket, because you're dependent on one person just teaching you something. If that falls through and you're not getting your money back, you could have taken that same, like in my situation, I could have taken my $5,000 and gone to business school or something. You know, I could have gotten like my general education requirements for community college figured out, because that is another thing that I would do over, is I would have gotten a business degree, an associate's, while I was tattooing, or getting my apprenticeship taken care of, because you're not going to be tattooing for a long period of time. You definitely shouldn't be. It took me 3-4 months before I started tattooing, and most people don't start tattooing for their first year. I sped through my apprenticeship really quickly, but I also don't think that my boss was in a position for me to not make money. Having a spot in his shop, I needed to either pay booth rent or a 50% commission, which is what most shops are going to have you do, is between those two options. I mean, really a raise is not in the books for being a tattoo artist. It's, hey, did you get more clients? That's up to you. You're kind of an individual business owner in that sense. You're just using their space. Yeah, definitely consider what it is long term, because you won't be making money in the beginning for a long time. It is basically furthering your education, and you didn't get paid in school, so you're not getting paid in this either. That's just, it is what it is. You're actually going to pay for this. It doesn't have the same system as a school, because you get graded on that, and you don't know if your boss is using your money to buy a new Jeep like mine did, or using it on drugs like another one of my bosses did, or, just whatever situation of, you don't know who that person is. Basically, long-winded explanation, but you are extremely liable getting in a situation just being dependent on that person. They might want to give you a free tattoo every now and then to practice things. And that's honestly what I did when I was an apprentice. I paid for like 2 tattoos before I got my apprenticeship, and then that was it for like 3 years. I didn't pay for another tattoo. I did either all of my own tattoos as practice, or let my buddies try out different styles they wanted to do, because they were all more experienced than me anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. Got a bunch of free tattoos. I gave myself a bunch of tattoos. I didn't get to do that till farther along in my apprenticeship. Honestly, it was way too short for me to really retain anything that I needed to, which you need to figure out how long your apprenticeship is going to be. It's okay if you have to take like 2-3 years into, oh bitch, fuck you. If you have to take 2 or 3 years in your apprenticeship, that's not a bad thing, for sure. You need that experience and skin in the game, earning your stripes, because it is a pride-based community. There's definitely a lot of rules in the tattoo community that I did not know starting out. You don't do tattoos out of the shop. You don't give your buddies tattoos for free. You don't go off getting yourself a kit on Amazon for $30 and say, okay, I got a clip cord and a pedal and a machine, and I know what I'm doing, and I have a $5 rotary and I'm good to go, because you have no idea what that thing is. Rotaries and standard machines and stuff like that, you don't know how to take care of them, replace parts on them. If you're in the middle of a tattoo and your machine dies, and it's not a tattoo gun, it is a machine. If it dies in the middle of a tattoo, you are liable for that. Also, if you have an apprenticeship, you're gonna lose it. If your mentor is caught with you tattooing outside of the shop, or even with him not even being present, they will lose their license. So they are not obligated to keep you in any way. They don't fire you, they relieve you of even being there. They got paid already. You don't need to be there. Yeah, so if all of your buddies are like, oh, I'm gonna come get a tattoo from you and this and that, no, they're not. They might come in for your first 50 procedures to get your license, because typically those are free, but those are gonna be shit. Just saying, your tattoos are not gonna be good. I mean, if you have a really good teacher, you're definitely gonna be in the right direction, but when you come up against things that you're not familiar with, it's not gonna happen. Also, for the most part, I don't know anybody who's done an apprenticeship and stayed with their apprentice. I don't know a mentor that's actually sat with their apprentice through every tattoo. And that's usually where your big mess ups are, is not having them around. If your boss is like, okay, you're ready to start tattooing fruit or fake skin or whatever, you're gonna need your own equipment, then that's a point where you're like, okay, if I need something in like a week from now or whatever, that's not gonna cost me $1,500 to get a startup on it. Then yeah, that makes sense, because your legitimate equipment you want to be using on people is fucking expensive. So you need to think about your budgets. You need to see how that shop is ran, because some shops do provide some basic medical things like paper towels. Like you don't think paper towels are necessary for medical stuff. You need paper towel, like a shit ton of paper towels. Disinfectant. You need a damn near sterile environment for everything. So things that you need on a daily basis to make sure everything just stays in order, it adds up really fast because you need it every day. Even if you don't tattoo every day, you still need to be cleaning every day. You have to stay on top of it because there's such tight regulations in some places, like there should be. What you're gonna have to get is your 50 procedures, your 50 tattoos, and then you're gonna need, depending on the state, you're gonna have to get like 300 hours, 400 hours, whatever it is. You're gonna need a lot of hours under your belt before you can get your license. But that also means you also need to get different certifications to even get your license. By that I mean, in my state, you have to get a business license along with a AED, CPR certification, and then there's like bloodborne pathogens that says you've passed a test, that you understand what that means and how to not cross-contaminate. What sucks is that it is actually really hard to make a living as a tattoo artist. So when you have a bunch of registered people in your area as tattoo artists, most of them aren't making money. Most of them aren't getting paid every week. I know there were weeks where I was making like $900 a week, and then I wasn't making anything for like the next 2 weeks. It was really flip-flopped and circumstantial and dependent on your tax season and who your friends are. There were times when I made a shit ton of money, and there were times when I didn't make any money. And $900 is a lot of money for an 18-year-old. So I was happy about it, but I also like had no sense of steady income or anything like that. COVID. The point I'm trying to make is they want your money. They will gladly take your money. They will take your money and then they will get rid of you in like a month. It really just depends on who you're dealing with. So find somebody respectable, find somebody who has a good clientele, which is hard to tell. You need to find that steady individual who likes to make that side cash. I'm so fucking dead. Shit. I'm gonna die. Yep. Yeah, be aware of who is going to take your money. You need to be incredibly sure that they are not there to just collect funds from you. The first apprenticeship I had, there were actually 2 other apprentices while I was there for one person. So the shop owner had 3 apprentices all at once for about $5,000 a pop. And what he did with his money, instead of spending it on his shop and his bills, was he bought a new Jeep and he bought his kid a horse. I remember that. That was kind of like, okay. Yeah, he ended up shutting down like less than a year later. I think like a few months later after I ended up having to leave, he ended up closing the shop because he wasn't paying his bills. He was just having a lifestyle. So I remember another shop I worked for, the boss there actually was buying drugs and giving drugs away to my friends, and then wasn't paying his bill and was trying to hit up my coworkers for the light bill and stuff like that. So my coworkers were doing like 100% commission to get their money back from him. You know, if your client doesn't show up, you're just not getting that money. So I don't know what that fucking deal was, but yeah, he shut down in less than a year too. So I've been in 2 failed shops. I definitely think I have a little bit experience of people who are desperate for money, who have no savings, who are middle-aged with no stability behind them, working in a very hard and crowded industry. It's not easy. It's not easy being a grown adult with those kind of basic needs behind you. So yeah, screwing some kid over who had the availability to even have that money is not a big deal to them, because a lot of people in the industry actually don't have those resources available to them in the first place. There are a lot of artists who started out in their basement and managed to build a living out of it, you know. Yeah, your friends are not going to want to pay. They're not in it to support you for your business. They're there to get a free tattoo. So even with all of that, I still had difficulty bringing over a 20-minute drive out to the boonies from a suburb area that we lived in, which was really frustrating because it did also like prolong my process for even getting my license. It took longer, and I ended up having to give myself more tattoos, which I really liked doing. But I didn't know what I was doing because my boss was always too busy to give me enough pointers to know better. But I ended up tattooing the inside of both of my legs in like a 2-day period. And then I woke up the next day and both of my legs were glued together. It was not a good time. And I still haven't finished them because I don't feel like it. Doing an apprenticeship with a part-time job, you know, depending on if the apprenticeship's part-time or it's full-time, then, you know, go to college part-time, take a couple courses, get your requirements like your mathematics and all that crap, get that shit out of the way. So if you don't like tattooing, or if it kind of ruins art for you in general, then you're not stuck, you know? It's okay if it's not for you, because I love art and I love doing it as a hobby, and I ended up hating it and not drawing for years when I would draw for like 40 to 60 hours a week just to like build myself up as an artist. Tattooing actually kind of ruined that for me because it turned it into a job that I was forced to do tattoos that I didn't want to do, or deal with people I didn't want to deal with, being in environments that weren't healthy for me. Definitely would have gone to college. I feel like if I had gone to college and gotten a better understanding of just marketing and accounting and having to do your taxes as a tattoo artist, you don't get a W-2, you get like a 1099 or some shit, you know, just all that really annoying little grown-up stuff that I don't understand. It is actually important to have that background knowledge that can really benefit you in the long run. It's something I would have done, something I would do if I could, which I don't want to. That's the thing, is it just wasn't for me. I really don't miss it at all. I tried getting back into it and actually doing a second apprenticeship, because your license expires if you don't renew it. Having to do a second apprenticeship and getting back into that for like a year, and it just wasn't, it felt exactly the same, and it was super disappointing because I really wanted it to work and have a career as an artist, and I was just like, I actually hate this, you know? Like, I'm more of a hobbyist, even though I was so into my craft. Killed the fun for me. I think the last tip I'll give, if you're a woman in a tattoo industry, it is exceptionally hard. So if you can find yourself a group of women, or be apprenticed by a woman, or not a crazy sexist man, or end up working for sexist men or around them, then yeah, legitimately that is a thing. I did not think I would ever be a part of something like that, but it was like back-to-back shops of just like constant mansplaining and being told that I was basically a species. It was really interesting, like very, very old school values, and being degraded. I don't miss that at all. But if you can avoid something like that, that's also kind of the nice thing about being more in a city environment, is that you have a lot more open-minded people, I think, and a more diverse area than other places. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if I should make more of these, if I need to go more in depth into stuff. That would be cool. I don't know. I like talking about this stuff. It's super interesting, and I think about it all the time because it really is like a fun industry. And I'm kind of just like, be cautious of what you're stepping into more so. I mean, there were definitely parts that I really enjoyed about it. Definitely the clients. There are clients that I miss like crazy, because you can have these really good personal conversations with people and get to know them really well. And they put a lot of trust in you as their artist, and getting to learn about them and all that. There's definitely a lot to enjoy about this job. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.